Okay, it's going to record in 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome to class. Today we're talking about bisecting segments and angles. First, what does bisect mean? We have the prefix bi, so like bilingual, bicycle, bisexual, bi-weekly means every 2 weeks or half week. So what about bisect? That word we know. We know bi means half, right, or two. Right? So a bisect is to cut in half, cut into 2 parts. Okay. So this is actually something really helpful because you don't need a tape measure. Has anybody ever played volleyball where they go set up? You set up a volleyball court in a park. You like bring out the net, and then you have to make like often there's like a piece of like rope or something that's put around the outside, so it's like the rectangle that makes the court. Okay, so if you've ever seen anybody do that in a park, sometimes you see people that are like, how to figure out where those ropes should go. Like where should the net be? How do you get it halfway? How do you get it halfway so that that rectangle is right where the net is going to be in the middle? And I've seen people in the park working that and doing it. It takes them hours to figure it out. You would be able to figure it out without a tape measure using this exact method. If you have a string, you can always figure out where the middle of any distance is. Okay, we're going to figure it out. Yeah, it's like, what? Okay, so some of these things, remember, we're learning the tools. We're learning with the tools that Pythagoras and all the Greek geometers taught their students using the same exact tools. That's why we're learning in a real classic way. And I don't think that Pythagoras ever used the word double fish, but that's something that I use to talk about what kind of construction marks we got to make. Okay? So bisecting, cutting in half, now we're going to bisect the segment. So here's A and here's B. It doesn't matter, just like in the homework. If you don't have the written workbook to work on this stuff, you can use the screen, measure off the screen, and just reproduce from that. Okay? But the first step that we have to do is we have to make a double fish. We have to make a double fish. Now, it sounds really complicated, but it's like a fish, right? But that's also like a fish. So it's like a double fish. It has 2 tails. I don't actually know if it has a face. It has just 2 tails. It kind of swims towards each other. And, sometimes it goes in circles. Yeah, it's a fish. Maybe it's like a crab, and the eyes are facing this way. We'll see. So this is what I want you to do. Now, if I create a double fish, the one thing I have to remember is go ahead and open up your compass, and I want you to make your compass. I'm going to show you how not to do it first. If I don't go more than halfway, look what happens. I go from this side, I keep the same arc, I lean it and I arc it. I go to this side and I lean it and I arc it. Did that make a double fish? No. What do we need the double fish to do? We need them to what? They need to cross over. So think about that. And somebody in the chat from home, what do we need to make sure in order to make a double fish? We need to measure from each point what? We have to measure in a way so they'll overlap. So we have to measure more than what? So if I do it like right here, is that going to make a double fish from both sides? No, they won't overlap. So what do we have to do in order to make them overlap? We got to make it more than half. You see? Here's more than half. I just have to open it up more than half. And, it doesn't have to be a lot more than half. Just kind of make it more than half. And then watch what you're going to do. You're going to go to point A. You're going to stake it, lean it, arc it. Okay. Then you go to part B. You go to point B. You stake it, you lean it, arc it. Ah, double fish. I didn't quite do it far enough, so I'm going to go over to A, and I'm going to do that one again. Okay, so that might mean you have to make the arc a little bit longer. So try it again. You could even just flip the paper and just go between 2 points, whatever you like. Nice. So look, here's my double fish. Is everybody able to make a double fish? Tell me in the chat when you're able to make that double fish. Did you make a double fish? Okay. And you know what? If you're like, I'm not sure I totally understand the double fish, then go ahead and make another double fish. So go here and just on another piece of paper, make a line segment. Remember, the goal is to make your double fish so it's you have to make your arcs that are longer than halfway. So here's more than halfway, right? More than halfway. Stake it, and you might have to make a bigger arc than you think. So make a little bit bigger arc than you usually think might be necessary. And you got it? Okay.
It's just really small.
Oh, that's okay. So sometimes the fish are small, but they're still fish. The only thing is they have to overlap. Okay. So you see, I made a pretty good double fish right there. And the thing is now, I'm going to go back to what I had before, but try it a couple times if you're not sure if you're doing it. Now look what we have here. We have created a double fish. We've created a double fish. Now connect the intersections of the double fish. See this red line here? We're going to intersect and connect the we're going to connect the intersections of the double fish. So I just need to go in here, and I'm going to use pencil so that I can erase it, because that's smart. And I just need to go in, and where these double fish intersected, this point and this point, I am going to make a line. Okay. I did it. Nice. All right, Isabel. Perfect. Perfect, Lizette. Perfect. Okay, so now I want you to look at this. Look at this, this bisected segment, and what are just some things we can say about this situation? What are some things you notice now with this line that we just created, the intersection in our double fish, and the line that we were starting with? What are some things we can just observe? What are some observations? Like what you look at that and you say, well, this is about the same distance as this, or that looks like this angle or that angle. Somebody in the chat, let me know. What's one thing you could see? What's one thing you could see? What's an observation? Symmetric. There's a lot of symmetry in this. There's a lot of symmetry in this. And one thing we do is we make tick marks. Okay, if this is the bisection, which is what we've just done, make a tick mark on each side. These are called tick marks. Okay? Tick marks say that they're the same length. So this is saying that, the bisection to B is the same as the bisection to A. Okay? And someone in the chat, we had a good insight from Remy here, but what can we say? What else can we say as far as maybe how these lines, how do they intersect? They intersect at a certain angle? What does it look like? And actually, it's correct. It's not just what it looks like. It is this certain angle. Anyone at home? Don't. Is that?
Oh, no, I was just getting
Yeah, I've looked before. Somebody asked. I don't. Anybody at home? Yeah, cross fingers. All right. Yes, Devin. Yes, we're going to put a little box right here. So when we do a double fish and bisect our segments, we end up with 90 degrees, and that is perpendicular. Remember that word? Perpendicular. Okay. So that's the main thing. That's what happens every single time when we use a double fish, and it's pretty helpful because really, did we need to measure it? Did we have to measure A to B and then divide by 2? No, we just needed a compass, or if you're outside doing the volleyball court, you would just need a long piece of string, and you make this arc, you make that arc, you put a line between those two intersections, and you got your bisection. Okay, and that is done. We're done with bisection. All right. We're gonna have a couple examples after this, but how hard was that? Not that hard. It's mostly if you don't have your compass, it's just you're gonna have to practice. I mean, folks at home that don't have it, make sure you get that ASAP. Otherwise, you're just watching. It's boring. All right. Next, bisect an angle. I think of this as and we're gonna do this example in a minute. But if I had a piece of pizza and I was battling over the piece of pizza, and someone's like, well, you better cut that pizza exactly in half. We're going to figure out how to cut that in half using compass. You're gonna have pizza delivered to your house, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm gonna go get my compass and protractor, and I'm gonna make sure that this pizza is correct. No, you don't need to. But let's do these steps. Create an arc from A. Now, again, remember we did this before. Is it good? Should I make my arc way out here? Should I make my arc way out here? Is that helpful? Nah, because the problem is right here, right? The problem is this angle with these rays that I have to measure. So I got to just keep it I got to keep it relaxed. I got to keep it within the distance of the ray that I've created. So I'm going to do that right here. So what I'm saying is don't make it too big. Let's go ahead and make a perfect. All right, everybody go ahead and create arc from A. I made an arc from A. I made sure it's not too far. I also didn't like shoot myself in the foot and make my arc like this. Don't make your arc. I can't even do it. A joke failed because it's impossible. Yeah, don't make it super tiny. Make it. Actually, I'd say try to make it as far as you can without going past your rays. Oh yeah. The baby arc. Okay, so create a double fish from each arc ray. So look at that real close. Arc ray intersection. Arc ray intersections are here. Arc and ray, arc and ray. Okay, that's the only thing that can mean. The arc is what we just created. The ray are the sides of the angle. So an arc ray intersection is just where those two things intersect. It's this and it's this. So watch, we have to make a double fish. Now this is exactly the same situation as I had here. The only difference is what's changed is there's an angle connected, right? But I'm just showing you real quick. There's an angle, but we're doing the same thing between the 2 points right here. Okay. So you're making a double fish in the middle. Okay, double fish in the middle. This one you got to be a little bit more careful. So I'm going to go ahead and say I got to go past halfway. That's about past halfway, right? So from each of these points, I'm going to make my double fish. One. From the other intersection point. 2. And it looks like the tail kind of came off a little bit. I'm going to fix that tail. All right, everybody make the double fish from these 2 intersection points. So the double fish is going to be right in the middle, just in the same way that the double fish was right in the middle of these 2 points. Okay. The only difference is the 2 points we're starting with the angle are parts of the angle. That's it. Okay. Anything hard about this? Nope. All right, so watch. Create the double fish from the arc ray intersection. Connect the intersection point just like before. It's the same exact thing here and here. The only difference is, look, I'm going to bring it all the way through the vertex. You see, the intersection right here is by default going to be aligned and go right at the vertex, just because it is equal distance from each side here. So the overlap directs it directly at the vertex. Oh, that's beautiful. And then the way that we show the tick marks for this, you can show tick marks with a little angle arc here. Angle arc. And then you're going to make a tick mark on that angle measure. So these tick marks can also show for angles, it's showing that this angle is the same as this angle. They are congruent. Okay. All right, folks at home, go ahead and make sure you're finishing that up. And then let me know in the chat on a scale from 1 to 5, how are you feeling about your skills to bisect angles and segments? On a scale from 1 to 5, what do you say? How are you doing with this on a scale from 1 to 5? 5 being like, yeah, I got it. I just had to practice. 3 is like, well, not sure. Okay, so we got 4.5, 4 to 5, 4. What are you saying here? 4.5, 5, 4. All right, we're all 4s and 5s, so let's go ahead and apply some of these in some weird examples. That's a good thing to do. Let's do this one. So this is the tug of war. Does anybody ever do a tug of war in like middle school? You guys ever do that? You guys probably had a tug of war somewhere. Yeah, I know. It's always hard on the hands. So here's the thing. These folks, who was your rival in middle school? Yeah. This is Cal Middle School. Oh, somebody's from Cal. They're like, what? And what were you? Sutter Middle School.
Personally, I had nothing against Cal. I thought it was an awesome
Yeah.
But our teachers made it so.
They made it so it was like
no,
rival.
Cal's like this horrible, sucky school.
Oh.
Sutter's so much better. I'm like, I don't think that's true.
No. And it changes.
Good
Yeah.
their own ways.
That's a good point. Well, let's say you had a tug of war and your teachers were egging you on because it's just that they don't like the teachers maybe at Cal. But it's Sutter Middle School versus Cal Middle School. And the teacher in the middle is like, here is the middle. Here is the middle. As long as you pull it past here, you win. Now, is this fair?
For Sutter, maybe, not for Cal.
Yeah, not for Cal. Cal, actually, let's say this is kind of biased towards one. We need to find the very middle of our rope in order to make it fair. And this teacher, we could say, hey, stop encouraging your students to have rivalries. Just relax a little bit. So let's put where the finish line is going to be actually. Okay, so who? Oh, egging you on. All right, folks, I just want you to copy another segment. Just make it on your page. You don't have to draw the little people. But if, for the homework for all this, it doesn't mean you get out of it just because you don't have the written book. You go to the screen and just, generally on the screen, open the compass. I opened it on the screen. I got it about this far. And then make your segment about that same distance, okay? So you don't get out of it just because you have to use the screen as a reference. So I want you to make your double fish between Sutter Middle School and Cal Middle School, the points that I put here. And I want you to find where the middle should actually be. You could draw the little people if you want. Yeah, I know. So go ahead and do this little activity part at home. This is part of our notes to have a few examples in practice. So you don't even have to measure off the screen. Just make a line segment. You can add the people if you like. But I'm going to go ahead and start now. And I'm going to ask at home, should I make my double fish this wide? Is this enough? No, I have to go what? Past halfway in order for them to be able to overlap. So that's going to be able to overlap. Let's go to make our fish. So make it a little bit, that's about 120 degrees, not quite halfway. That should usually get it for you. And then I'm going to go over here. I keep the same radius for the arc from the other side. I haven't changed anything. And I'm going to make it. So remember, it's just lean it, drag it. Nice. And then what do we have to do? The last step is to connect the intersections of our devilfish. And what did we just discover? Right here is where the teacher should start it. They should start it right here. They're holding on to the rope right there. They're like, don't go yet. Rivalries? Yeah, it's different for different sports. Capital Christian, that's one. Because we were like small school.
Wait, Capital Christian? That's my cousin's.
Oh, look, you're a rival. You didn't even know it.
Oh my god. That's so weird. She's not in high school yet. So we're not rivals.
Not yet. She will be.
Next year when she gets to high school.
You could beat her up. Don't beat her up. All right, what am I going to put here to show that these two sides are exactly the same? We're going to put? Okay. Put these little tick marks right here. They show that the teacher's right in the middle and the length on both sides is equal. Now, Cal Middle School has a chance. Okay. So they got to bring Remy's here in the front. And you got to pull Remy all the way past the teacher. And is somebody online? Did somebody go to Cal Middle School and they want to be the first person? Tell me in the chat if you went to Cal Middle School. Did you go to Cal Middle School, anybody? Anybody? Nobody? All you went to Sutter? This rivalry is just going to be one-sided? Okay. Well, is it like you have another person and another person? Oh, that's not. I know. They're just like they become smaller. There's so many. They just going into the background. All right. Nobody is adding anything to this bad joke, so we'll continue. Next, you have a piece of pizza, and I just made it plain cheese because I didn't want it to get in the way. We got some pizza, and let's say that they accidentally cut a piece of pizza this big, and everyone in your family eats the rest of it, and then you and your little brother or sisters are like, I want the last piece. So what we're going to do is cut this piece of pizza in half. Okay. Now you can use the crust. Just make any kind of like angle really quick, really quick. We're going to just practice cutting in half. And I'm actually going to use the crust. Because I've already set this up and made an arc. It goes right to the edge of the crust. So I'm going to use the crust, this point and this point, as my ray arc intersection. Now we got to make a double fish in the middle. That's going to allow us to cut this in half perfectly. So how far across? I need to go more than half. Okay. And let's stake it. Let's lean it. Let's arc it. Let's stake it. Let's lean it. Let's arc it. Nice. Double fish. It's like anchovy pizza now. Gross. Kinda. What if if you got a pizza, big piece of pizza, and there was just a fish on it? That would be something somewhere. Someone has made that. That they get that piece. All right, and then we intersect the double fish, and it goes directly at our vertex, because that's how double fish work with angles. They always go towards the vertex. Because anything halfway between my sides is on the ray that cuts the piece in half. And look how perfectly cut those pieces are. Now you and your little sister can both have a piece of pizza. What? All right. So what? Okay. Okay, everybody go ahead and finish that one up, and then we have one more to go. This is the last one. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at this. And actually, I'm going to introduce this one and then show you one other thing for the homework. We have two twin siblings that go to college. They decide, we're going to go to the same college. And they decide, we're going to live in the same house. And then they realize that that's not such a great idea. So first we need names for these people. What are our twins' names? What do we say? What's a good name for these twins? You know, yesterday I really liked the ridiculous name. They named them Woodle and Yarn. I just like that a student came up with that. Woodle? Poodle? Should we change it? All right. Their name is Poodle and Yarn. That is an awesome combination of names. All right, Poodle and Yarn, they have a driveway. They're starting to fight about it. They want to cut the driveway right in half. So, you know what? Just watch along. Because how far do I need to open it? Is it okay? Can I make my double fish right here? Tell me how far I need to go. Right there, huh? Okay, that's good. It has to be more than halfway, so I'm going to stake it. I'm going to lean it, and I'm going to arc it. Okay. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to stake it. I'm going to lean it. I'm going to arc it. Okay. So we end up with a fish a little bit bigger than maybe we need to make this, right? But with that, let's see better. Now all we need to do is get our straight edge. If it's too big, you got to use a ruler. But we're not measuring it. We're just going to go between the intersection. And we're just going to go in here and say, well, that's where we're going to cut the driveway. I keep dropping this. So Woodle has their car over here. And it's one of those, it's like in the movie Dumb and Dumber. it has these flappy ears because she's named after a dog. So, she's embracing it. So we got the Woodlemobile, and then what kind of car does Yarn have? It's a ball of yarn. It's really weird. And when she goes to the car wash, half of her car ends up in the drain, and she has to remake the yarn. So she has a little window. It's because yarn is hard to make into a glass surface. It is kind of yarn sharkish. Okay, so we got Poodle's car and we got Yarn's car, and now they won't fight because they've divided it up. Okay. Next, Poodle and Yarn collect dog stuffed animals and balls of yarn, obviously. They don't have as much room in their attic, so they need to divide up. Oh, I like that, Isabel. Isabel says Jerry and Terry. That's good. That's their dogs. Their dogs are... okay, I'm going to waste a little time doing this. That's fine. Ooh, that's a weird-looking dog. That's Jerry. And Terry's a weird dog. Terry can stand on its feet and loves to be on the roof of the house. And here's his tail, so you know he's not a person. And that is Terry. Isabel, is that satisfactory? Those are their animals. You don't have to answer. All right, look. So the attic, Poodle has all their stuffed animal dogs, and Yarn has all their yarn. Oh, thank you as well. So what we need to do is the angle for the attic, we're going to divide that in half, and actually that's going to do quite a bit to divide the area evenly. All right? So go ahead and do the same thing. I want you to tell me, just lead me through it. Should I make my arc this big? Probably not, because what? It's not helpful. It goes way past where the rays are, so I need to maybe think about it as, okay, is that going to be a good one? I think that's actually a pretty good one like that, because it's going to end up touching this side and that side. So you stake it, lean it, arc it. Okay, now we got our first arc. Yeah. Whoa. Now they're not going to fight to the death. Yarn and Poodle. All right, next I go to the arc ray intersection over here, and I'm going to make my compass more than halfway to the other point, and I'm going to make my double fish. Ooh, wait a minute. Like flying cars, they land in the attic. Maybe. All right, look. So we made our double fish, and we can now connect it, and this is going to divide the angle in half. Yeah, and look, this tick mark and that tick mark show that they are congruent. Those are the same angle measurements. And now we could say, all right, Poodle and Yarn, they can make it through the year. Jerry and Terry might fight, but they're just cats and dogs. They're not going to get into it too much. That's stupid. No. Yeah. Terry's crazy. Terry is actually a professional hang glider, and that's how Terry makes all the big bucks. So Terry is about to hang glide off, but what Terry doesn't know is that Jerry is a professional skateboarder, and obviously will be able to just move out of the way. And what else? They pretend, just like Tom and Jerry, but they couldn't be. Yeah, they're cartoons, so it doesn't actually hurt. All right, we're gonna let them do that. Okay. I love this yarn car. It's my favorite. Write it out. All right, folks at home, that is the end of the video. Actually, not. One last thing. So just peeking at the homework for today, we're going to have a situation where we have to, let me pull it up real quick so I can look at it, because we're going to have a situation where we need to find a quarter, okay, a quarter of the way. So look, for instance, if everybody just go ahead and make one quick line segment, boom, make it real quick, easy. Make one quick line segment. Let's call this AB. All right, this last bit. And I want you to make a segment or find the segment here that is 1/4 AB. Okay? 1/4 AB. Now, we've just been doing bisection, so we've been doing 1/2 AB. So what's your intuition? How are we going to make a fourth? What should I do to make a fourth? Well, first I'm going to make a half because I know that if I make a half, then I'll be closer to having a fourth. In fact, maybe if I do a half and then cut it in half again, what? You get a fourth? Maybe. Let's see. So I'm going to go in here, and at A and B, using the same arc length, I'm going to find the middle right here. So now I go from the intersections, and there is the middle, the bisection. Now, if I have to find 1/4 AB, I just need to do what? What do I have to do, Remy?
Oh, I did it a little bit.
Yeah? Yes, that's what I was getting at. So you do a double fish. Double. So we do a single double to find the bisection, and then we go between these 2 points and we find it again. So you were just ahead of me. That's exactly what I was going to do. No, that was actually the idea. So good job. All right, I stake it, I lean it, I arc it. Stake it, lean it, arc it. Bop it, twist it. All right, and then between the 2 intersections of the arc, I make my line. And this right here, if I call this C, then I could say that 1/4 AB is equal to AC. Okay, I can just name it that point. That's fine. You can call this D if you want. You could also say that CD is 1/4, right? DB is a half, right? So is this going to be a big deal if I say to this, find me 3/4 AB? I know 1/4 AB is this little portion. So what would 3/4 be? We don't need to put another letter, actually. We can use these letters to find it. So remember, this is a half. This is a fourth. This is a fourth. We already said that 1/4 of AB is AC. So what would 3/4 of AB be? What 2 letters would make 3/4? DB was a half because it's exactly half. Right? So think about this. If we decided that, say again? CB. Oops. Yeah, CB or BC, that will work. So think about it like this. If you found this was a quarter, right? So it's like 25 cents. The other side has to be 75 cents because we're talking about the whole. So good, Dylan, good, Zinqui. Those are perfect. We would say 3/4 AB is equal to CB, and we would be right. And check. That's all we have to do for the homework. That's the other little baby step. Not bad. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.